welcome back to my channel. I'm Danielle and I'm the owner of Damn Fancy Creations and the Drunk Flamingo Glitter. If y'all are new to my channel, I do want to let you know that you can catch my content in a few different places. I have a tutorial group on Facebook, I have my fun Drunk Flamingo Glitter group, and my exclusive Damn Fancy Tribe, which is where I offer exclusive content, discount codes, free digital files, and group challenges each month. All of those groups are going to be linked in the description in case you guys want to check them out. Today's tutorial is going to be a tutorial using June's Flockbox colors. I love these colors. I think they are super fun together. They are just your typical summery pastel colors. When I was creating this kind of color palette, I was thinking kind of like a Barbie dream house. That was like the vision that I had in my head, and I think these colors go really well together. So for the tutorial, I'm going to be doing a brushstroke technique. I love brushstroke tumblers. I don't make them a whole lot, but I think it's a really fun way to showcase multiple glitters and just kind of pull some different glitter colors together, and I always love the end result. You can also switch them up by changing colors, adding foils, adding gold leaf, just kind of, you know, putting your own take on your brushstroke tumbler. So I am going to be using all of June's Flockbox colors and the decals that were included with this month's box. And I may be adding a few things like foils or gold leafing to some of my brush strokes. So if you guys are ready to see June's Flockbox colors, let's get started. Alright guys, so here were all the colors in this month's Flockbox. This one is Salty Dog. This one is Dusty Rose. The pink is Kinky Blow Pop, which of course spilt all over my paper when I was trying to show it off. Always make sure your bags are sealed. The next one is June Bug. It's a fine purple. And then we have Rum Runner, which is a mini chunky purple. And of course I am using some leopard foil. I got this from Artistic Painting Studio. And we're going to use a 24 plump from the Steel Magnolias. I do have a discount code below for you guys. So we're going to start with Tack It, and we're going to apply our foils that way. I prefer Tack It over other adhesives that I've used in the past. What we're basically going to do is just lightly brush on some Tack It. We don't need thick layers. And we do want it relatively thin so that when it dries, it will dry pretty tacky and not be gummy. So after I just brushed a few of those strokes on, we are going to wait for it to dry. I either wait about 15 to 30 minutes depending on how thick it is, or you can also use a heat gun to speed up that process. And I am going to use a heat gun. Mine does have a temperature dial on it, so I don't like to get it super hot. I just get it kind of warm, because if we have our heat too hot, it will just kind of make the Tack It kind of gummy and not necessarily dry. And if this was on a different base other than white, you would be able to tell when it's dry, because when it is dry, it gets clear. Obviously, you won't really be able to tell if it's dry or not since our tumbler is white. I just go by feel. So if it still feels a little damp, we know it's not dry yet. If it feels tacky, then we know it's dry. So I did let it sit for just a few more minutes, and now we are ready to apply our foils. I like to cut strips about as wide as my brush stroke, just so I'm not using the whole sheet. And I am just going to lay the foil on it, rub it really good. I like to use my little scraper that I have. I just got these off of Amazon. I usually use them for vinyl, but they work well for foils too. And then we're just going to peel it off. And when you're doing this, you're going to kind of decide what look you want. I typically always like my foils to look distressed. I just prefer that look. If you like yours a little bit more solid, then I would rub a little bit more. I know that you can use heat to also help those foils release from the backing. But again, this is just going to be your personal preference and the look that you're going for. So I am just going to apply my foils wherever I applied tack it. And don't forget your bottoms. I'm not super picky about how my bottoms looks since I am going to be applying glitter there as well. I just want to get a little bit of color on there. So once the foil's on there, we are ready to apply all of our glitter colors. And I applied my glitter with different color paints. That's how I typically apply my glitter if I'm going to be using different colors just on a white base. Now, having done this cup, I can tell you guys now that I probably would have done it a different way. I probably would have painted my base colors, let them dry, and then applied either epoxy or a different type of glitter glue to the entire cup and just sprinkled the different colors on, which is what I did for my second glitter application. Again, this is just my personal preference. I feel like that way I got better blends and lines. Now, if you don't want your lines blended, if you want those stark lines, then definitely do it the way that I'm doing it right now. I just prefer a more kind of softer blend with my colors. But this way just kind of made them really sharp lines and sharp color differences between the colors, which I wasn't necessarily crazy about. But you guys will see how I do the second coat of glitter, and I prefer that way better. So as I'm going through this video, you guys can see that I'm just matching up purple paint with the purple glitter, blue paint with the blue glitter, and so on. The reason why I like to use paint versus Mod Podge is because some of the glitter is translucent, and if you apply that over a white base, then it can appear lighter in color, or it may change the color a little bit. So I just like to try to find paint colors that match the original glitter color to keep them as true to the color as I can, at least for this particular tumbler. Some cups I like to use different colors for different glitters and see what types of fun glitter combos I can come up with. So we are just glittering. So some of my brush strokes I am just making about 1 inch wide. Some of them I am taking all the way from the top to the bottom. Some are thinner, some are thicker. I am just kind of not really too picky with how they look. And sorry, I am out of frame. So we are just about finished with our first coat of glitter. And if you like how your brush strokes look at this point, you can definitely leave it as is. There's no need to do a second coat. These glitters have pretty good coverage just with one application, but the whole reason why I decided to do a second coat was to try to blend my colors better. And y'all know I say in every video, even if I screw up or don't do something how I wanted to, or it didn't turn out how I planned, I always show you guys anyway, just because I know I'm not the only one that runs into issues halfway through making a tumbler. So if I can help you guys troubleshoot along the way, then that is what I'm here for. And sometimes I don't even know how it's going to turn out until the finished product. So there's one coat. After this is dried, we are going to seal it with Mod Podge. I just have my Mod Podge here. I don't use Mod Podge hardly ever. The only time I typically use it is if I'm doing geodes or something like that, but I just really wasn't happy with how my lines just didn't blend together. So I basically am just coating the entire tumbler with Mod Podge. I honestly cannot even tell you if I sealed this tumbler beforehand. I might have. I don't think I did though. I probably just brushed it off really good and just decided to seal it with Mod Podge or add a layer of Mod Podge. I honestly did not think I was going to like the end result of this tumbler as much as I do, but it is one that is still sitting in my office because I can't decide if I'm going to list it or not. So at this point I was like, let's just get some Mod Podge on there and sprinkle some more glitter and see what happens. But it turned out pretty good. So once I get the entire tumbler covered with Mod Podge or whatever type of glitter adhesive you want to use, we are just going to take the same colors and just sprinkle them over the glitter that is already there. But I also allowed each color to kind of fall in to the colors next to it, if that makes sense. So the white that I'm sprinkling is kind of covering the purple and kind of covering the pink that is next to it. So the pink is still going to shine through that white and just create a better blend. So I am just going to do this over the entire tumbler. And I do wish that I would have sealed this looking back now, because I did lose a lot of my leopard foil that I applied earlier because it was covered with glitter, and I just couldn't really see it too well once my entire tumbler was coated with Mod Podge. But y'all can see as I'm sprinkling that I'm just getting kind of softer lines than I had previously. So the next time I do a tumbler like this, I will probably add my brush strokes, let that dry, and then add epoxy or glitter glue, and then sprinkle the colors individually like this.
So I am almost done with adding my second coat of glitters. And once this is dry, I am going to brush it off, seal it really well with Rustoleum 2 times, and then put it on the turner for epoxy. My choice of epoxy is Artistry's 1-to-1 Fast Set. It's a great epoxy if you guys have not tried it, and I do have a discount code below if you guys want to check it out. I just mixed up about 30 milliliters of epoxy. This tumbler had a ton of glitter on it, so it did soak up that epoxy really well. And sometimes I do mix just like a tiny bit extra than I probably need to. So we are just covering this entire tumbler. And when you cover your bottoms, you don't need a ton of epoxy. We just want to cover that glitter. We don't want globs so that our cup sits uneven. And once all my epoxy is on there, I typically will wipe from bottom to top just to smooth everything out and get off any of that excess epoxy so we don't have any waves or ripples. And once all of our epoxy is on there, I'm going to take my torch and we're going to pop all of those bubbles. I typically torch for one rotation as soon as I apply my epoxy, and then I may come back in about 15 more minutes and pop any remaining bubbles that have risen to the surface. And once this dries, we will be ready to sand our rims. So here's what our cup looks like after one layer of epoxy. So we're going to go in and sand our rims. I typically use 60-80 grit sanding block. I'm just going to angle it at the rim of my cup and just sand. And the reason that I like to sand my rims is because this removes 1 to 2 millimeters of epoxy, glitter, spray paint, everything, and it reveals that stainless steel rim. So that when we epoxy the next 1 or 2 coats, we are sure that everything is sealed in, that epoxy is going to be really adhered to that sanded rim, and everything is going to be very smooth, and we're not going to have to worry if our seal is cracked or busted or anything like that. No liquid is going to seep in between the glitter and the tumbler. So we're just sanding, getting everything smoothed. And then once your rim is smoothed out, you can sand the rest of your tumbler if there are any bumps or little glitter pricklies that you may feel. Since our next step is decaling, we do want to make sure that everything is very smooth. We don't want to see any bumps underneath our vinyl. So I'm just giving the entire body of the tumbler a good buffing. And then we're also going to sand the bottom. I just do a light sanding with the same sanding block, the 60-80 grit, just to cut down any of those glitter grains. Then I will also take a softer grit and go in a little bit more heavy-handed and just really scrub. And this helps to get the rim super smooth even before the final couple layers of epoxy. So I will just check everything, make sure everything is smooth. And once I am done sanding, I will just take Dawn dish soap and wash the entire tumbler. I do not wipe my tumbler down with acetone or anything like that. I just use Dawn dish soap. So I'm just going to dry this and I will show you guys a up close of the rim. So here is that stainless rim. Y'all can see just a little bit of that stainless is showing, but that will just help everything be sealed in and very smooth. And now we are ready to decal. All of these decals were in the box this month. And we're also going to be using some liquid gold. I will show you guys. I just like to use these bristle brushes and just barely dip this liquid gold leaf into the cap typically. And I am just adding some brush strokes all over the tumbler. This will be linked in the description for you guys. Definitely shake it up before you use it. The gold and whatever it's mixed with, some sort of oil, does separate. So you do want to mix it really, really well before you try to apply it to your cup or any other project that you're doing. And these bristle brushes, you can get them at Walmart for super cheap in a pack of multi-sizes. I will also try to find some on Amazon. I may have some linked already. Man, I don't know if y'all can hear that, but it is super windy outside today. I also like to try to clean the rims of this container because sometimes it can be really hard to open if I don't clean them. So I am going to dry this gold leaf or liquid gold leaf. Some spots were a little thicker than I had planned. So I am just using my heat gun to kind of dry it a little bit. And once this gold liquid is dry, we are ready to apply our decals. This was a cute little leopard image I found off of Etsy. I will link it below. If you guys got June's flock box, this little image was in your box. I am just smoothing him down in the center and then smoothing down the left and right sides. He is a little crooked, so I did go fix him later. And this fun little quote was one that I typed up. I will have it linked. You can find it on thedrunkflamingo.com. And I am just centering this. I like to use transfer tape with lines because it does help kind of line everything up. This is linked below as well. And now we're just going to apply our little leopard spots. These leopard spots were purchased from Bertrand's Designs on Etsy. And I just like to use my little tweezers. Kind of helps me place them a little bit better than just using my fingers. So I'm just pressing them down really well, and then we will be ready to apply our next layer of epoxy. So I took this tumbler straight to my turner for epoxy. I did not seal it with anything. You do not need to seal printable vinyl. Now, it may react differently to some epoxies. I know in epoxies I've used in the past, for some reason, the printable vinyl bubbles underneath it. It releases air bubbles and causes bubbles on top of the image. So I did have to seal it previously. If y'all enjoyed this video or learned something new, please be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Don't forget to catch the next video coming up that was picked just for you. As always, if you're looking for more tips, tricks, or tutorials, be sure to check out my tutorial group on Facebook or our Damn Fancy Tribe. Both are linked in the description. Thanks for watching.